Online Sportsbook, taking wagers since 1998. The most player-friendly lines, weekly juice specials, and a true dime line in MLB. Unique casino platforms with thousands of games. Play poker, high stakes, low stakes, or tournament play. uwager.lv, what we offer. Free same-day payouts. Customer service and wagering support, 24/7, year-round. Free monthly rebates on your action and daily casino rebates. Contests, free bets, best bonuses, and giveaways. Generous referral program. Get an 80% free play bonus on your first deposit, up to $1,000. Sign up today, and use promo code SPORTSWEB. Remember, you can't win if you don't play.
What's going on, guys? It's your host, Peter Blake, here on a special edition of the Sports Web Live here on a Saturday afternoon with, of course, Mr. Cup of Ray himself, Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy. We're going to get right to it. Get you ready for Rays versus the A's to see if the Rays can continue this undefeated streak. How do we start off this show here on I Love St. Pete, the Hub, and Amped Up Sports? Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. Once again, I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. We'll get out to your comments. We'll also take your phone calls, as always. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. The other number, in case you can't get through, 727-409-7528. Again, 727-409-7528. We'll get you ready for Rays versus A's again, talk about the game last night, and also talk about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What are they looking to do at number 19? Lots of news out there, so we'll get to it. And as always, I tell you what, let's go out to this guy right here, get his intro on. Here we go. All right, there you go. How about that intro right there? Mr. Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, welcome to the evolution as the Tampa Bay Rays stay undefeated last night in impressive fashion over the Oakland A's, 9-5 from Tropicana Field. I know you're live there from Ferg. Welcome back, brother. This is kind of different. We're doing a Saturday afternoon show with you out on the sidewalk at Ferg. It's noisy, it's busy there, and of course, Rays making history as always. Welcome.
Yes. Brother, so right while I was listening to that beautiful song, that beautiful intro, I'm looking at the lineup for today, right? The Rays lineup for today. And I'm reading Yandy Diaz, the batting order starting, of course, up top. Yandy Diaz, Brandon Lau, Randy Arozarena, Wander Franco, Luke Raley, Paredes, Lowe, Margot, and Miea, the catcher. Although Bethancourt gets his first home run of the season last night versus his old team, these Oakland Athletics. But, you know, this looks like a couple of days, a week and a half ago, this was like, it's a chance. We got to find out offense because we know we got the pitching. And I'm looking at it now. It's only a week in. We're going to go this. We're going to go this. But this right now looks like a murderer's row these A's are facing across the street there at Tropicana Field here today, Pete.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I'll tell you right now, and I know you're live there. I mean, what's the mood like? I mean, can you grab some fans there and get some reaction? Because that's what I want from Tampa Bay Ray, their best of the Bay. Reaction from the fans. But you talk to some of them. What is the reaction down there at Ferg's Live in downtown St. Pete?
Well, last night, right when the game ended, of course, the Braves won 9-5 over these A's last night to go to 7-0. Of course, today, Jeffrey Springs on the bump. He's the cat that I got to see live and up close and personal when I went to the Braves game there in the last game of the spring training before they get into the season. And I said it that night. You're coming off the top with Sugar Shane McClanahan, and then, even though we know about Tyler Glasnow where he's at, but then you got also Eflin now, Zach Eflin. Hats out to this guy. And you're like, Springs is number 4 and Rasmussen coming in at 5. The truth of the matter is, what I saw in Jeffrey Springs that night wasn't the guy that came to the Rays in 2021 and threw 54 games, threw up 45 innings coming in as a relief pitcher, takes over in 2022, has a season enough that the Rays give him some cash and get him that contract this offseason, and he's locking it in. I don't even know what you asked me, Pete. I'm just the excitement down here is palpable, except for the people they're all saying it's not just we're 7-0, it's going to remain. We're the best team ever. There's going to be no slumps. But they're saying we're seeing good baseball. And I kid you not, Pete, you and I have been coming down here for about a decade almost now, bro. Bucs, Storm, whatever. Everyone's walking around talking about the quality of baseball they're seeing, and then bury the lead. You're on house money with a team that's starting off the season 7-0, and it's a long season, but you get to have this almost playoff atmosphere right off the top of the bat. It's pretty exciting stuff.
Did you say
playoff?
So we're on the Sports Web here live on a Saturday afternoon. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, live from Berg's down there as you have people walking around. I'll tell you what, let's go out to our comments here. Troy says, first, all right, good. What do you say, Pat? Sitton says, go Rays, absolutely. You see a fan right back there. You should have grabbed him. Christopher Cole says, hey, what's up, everyone? What's going on, Christopher? How you doing? Yeah. Let's go out to Christopher O'Reilly. Baker choosing 6, guessing Julio isn't coming back. I mean, we can talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because we shared this show to all the Bucs websites there.
Yes, sir. Always.
That's what we do. We'll talk about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers as we're less than a month away from the NFL draft. Baker Mayfield choosing 6. I mean, I don't think Julio Jones was going to come back in the first place, but how excited are you about Baker Mayfield? I know that you're a Trask Force fan, as the Trask fans are out there. But
wait, what'd you call me? I'm a Trask. I'm a Trisket in my golden Easter basket.
Well, very nice, very nice. Throwing bars out there today, Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy. But how do you feel about Baker, number 6 there with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
My first reaction, and this is how much I care about the number 6. I care more about Sean Murphy Bunting now wearing 0 at Tennessee. That's a hideous number. I don't know why I don't like it. I'm more interested in if Kyle Trask will go back to his number 11 that he wore at Florida, couldn't wear last 2 seasons because Blaine Gabbert had it. We know Blaine's not coming back here in 2023, and let Baker take his 6. I'd like to see unless he's grown into the 2, but Pete, I'm not ready to retire that number 2, but I'm still, for some reason I see it number 2. I still think Chris Sims and the performances and the game that kid had, and I don't know if you follow him now or like him and all, but he owned that number 2, of course, almost dying in the Panthers game when he ripped the spleen open that time. But, I mean, if Kyle can take 2 and wear it, that's fine. But as far as Baker going to 6, it's like we're a month away from the draft. What a guy wears, it's like, the needle moved a little.
We're less than a month away from the draft, and we're going to get into that in just a little bit. I mean, how do you see this working out? We'll get back to the Rays in a moment, this is the Sports Web, your pregame edition, getting you ready for Rays versus A's. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, Best of the Bay, live there from Bergs. I mean, 19, less than a month away. What's the biggest need in your opinion? Is it offensive tackle? They go out there, they get Ryan Neal from Seattle. Pro Football Focus is top safety. I mean, is safety pretty much not a big need anymore? How do you see number 19 working out? Because I talked to our old friend there, Mr. TJ Reeves of the Buccaneer Radio Network, and he says DE outside linebacker. Is that where you're going?
I already said, and who am I to second guess the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. TJ Reeves? Of course, we know we got love for Tej. Defensive end, if you're already writing a check off for Joe Tryon-Shoyinka because you hate the fact that the only thing this kid hasn't learned to do is get to the hit point, he over pursues sometimes, still has that speed. Logan Hall, but he's inside, and you got Shaq coming back. If the rehabilitation, which we're not hearing anything about, but if there's something going on there that's given this team even a minute amount of pause for cause, and maybe TJ, not that he would have that inside info, but maybe he knows something I don't know, then yeah, okay, address it. Otherwise, I think you were always building an offensive line. I think that even with the moves we made and the guys we have, Jason Light's just also move back, move around, trade around a little bit. I don't know if as far as a number 1 kicker, got to go kicker first round.
Oh, of course, you got to go kicker. I mean, that's what it always goes back to with you, Tampa Bay Ray. It's all kicker. But I think the other interesting report was Hendon Hooker is going to be in for a visit. And here's a man who, who's a kid, who's coming off a major injury there. But honestly, 58 touchdowns, 5 interceptions the last 2 years as a starting quarterback for the Tennessee Volunteers. To me, if it wasn't for the injury, he would be in that conversation with the with the CJ Stroud.
Yeah.
Let me throw this out at you. If he's there at 19, do the Bucs take him, or do you take a call to trade down? Because for me, my point of contention is you trade down, you try to get a number 1 pick next year, you try to get multiple picks this year because you have so many needs. And with the quarterback situation that you have at this present moment with Baker Mayfield and Trask, I'm not sure if Hooker fits there.
I know. Well, 100%. Again, it's not even that the guy, and I've made this point, if people are out there, then there's a very small, minute few that maybe don't know ball enough that they actually are, and they never know. It's the reason why they play the games. But if this team's going to blow it up because Baker's not the guy and Kyle Trask isn't the guy, and maybe even another guy they bring in, they're Mr. Irrelevant, Brock Purdy for 2023. If that's not the guy, then wrap it all up for next year. Go after Caleb Williams out of USC when you go 0-17, and then pay Lincoln Riley to come here, because if this Buccaneers team fails that badly to get the number 1 overall pick, then yeah, Todd Bowles would be seeking employment next season. And you could make, if that's the narrative, I think they've got their starting quarterback for 2023 already on this roster. And I think that you trade away and you build that draft capital that Jason likes to do, as much as he likes to give it up for like a Tristan Wirfs, what have you.
All right, fair enough. Let's go back out to these comments here. Troy says, talk about football. Only time we support the Rays is when they're in the playoffs, and that's not true at all.
Playoffs?
Stop. All right, let's go on.
Pete, I'll tell you what.
Yes.
Well, Tampa Bay. Like I was telling you about in our little little pre-show, is that we've done it now. We've been here with the Rays, with the Lightning, with the Bucs. We've had the seasons overlap. We've had championship seasons in 2020 overlap in 2021, getting back. So we've had that, and nobody's out here saying. And that's why I said the point was when people said they're seeing great baseball. Nobody's out here like. Because you look, Toronto is right behind us, and then other teams in other divisions within this Major League Baseball, they're right there. 7-0 is nothing, but I'm not going to compare it to when Mantle and Maris chased down Babe Ruth 60 for 61 there in 61. But even something like that, when it starts, you don't know how far it's going to go, so you play that string out. You have a great time, and that's what I get. The vibe I get down on the streets here down in St. Petersburg.
Well, listen, it doesn't guarantee you. You talk about Mantle Maris, and this stat was thrown out last night, going back to baseball here. Shohei Ohtani and, of course, Mike Trout, they play for the Angels, and they're not winning many games with both of those players doing significant things. So, this is nothing to be disappointed about. I mean, I get it's a long season with the Tampa Bay Rays, but they're putting it together, and I think the main story going back to this lineup right now, Wander Franco. I mean, he's been everything as advertised. 3 home runs already, getting it done. He's got to stay healthy for this team. I think that's the reason why they pay him that attention in the first place, right? So
yes. Well, Pete, and also, look at I've covered the fact that they've added that entire outfield railing there at Tropicana Field, and they've made that, to me, okay. Ben baseball, love baseball. You and I go back to the Cubs, the Braves, the Mets, WGN, WOR, whatever. But we never had what they got going on now in this stadium with this entire outfield, where you go to that bar behind the pitch clock there in center field, and then you stretch out anywhere you want to stand. You look down and you see buddies of yours because they're down in the sections, or you stand above the trap. The thing I'm most interested in and I'm having a good time with is the 7-0 is great. This pitching is historic.
Grab those fans right there. Grab those fans. Go ahead and grab
No, bro, I'm not doing it. No, here's the thing. At post-game, we'll have to come down here. People are jumping. Right now, they're getting their eat on here at the world-famous Ferg Sports Bar and Grill. They got wings. They got burgers. They're getting hydrated. Then they're going to go across the street and enjoy the best baseball team in all of Major League Baseball. But my point is that I'm not trying to tell the people that always go, You can't drive to St. Pete for baseball. Baseball doesn't work in St. Petersburg. Tampa's centrally located, and I get it. It actually is the peninsula on the peninsula that is in the middle of Tampa. The fact of the matter is, when you've got these weekend games and you've got this buzz in town and all these restaurants and breweries and people are walking down from 34th Street and in, and they're having a great time. And my point all along is that, Tampanians, they don't like to come across the bridge, but they will now. They're coming now. They did to set those records when the Lightning were playing here in the Thunderdome. Fact of the matter is, make it a weekend. Come get a hotel. Remember, guys and girls, and Pete, this is the only point I wanted to make. We can go back to the Buccaneers.
Sure.
All summer, June, July, August, into September, those are the months where nobody comes down from other states because, let's be honest, it's hot. But those are the weekends that Tampanians or Newport Richians or Sarasotans can get the reservations on the beach. Come spend a night, get the $10 tickets. But I was talking to a guy last night. He took the Sunrunner down all the way. He lives in Pasadena. It's a speed bus that stops only at the elevated stops. He gets down there and goes back. It's all over the place. I'm just liking the fact that here, only 7 games into the 2023 season, people are like starting to see, wow, baseball does work here. I'm just saying.
Well, it seems like there's some type of buzz down there. What you're watching right now is a special edition of the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Mr. Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy, Best of the Bay, live there from Birch. Going back to it, Franco has been impressive. It started out last night. They get up 8-2 with Paredes and a grand slam. And it looks like you got some fans there. All right, we'll go out to you if you got a fan that you want to talk to.
I got mine. Come on, Coach.
All right, let's go out to Mr.
Oh, I'll tell you what. Who's the best talker here? Me. All right, come on here and talk. This is Peter Blake from the Sports Web. These young ladies are with the Pinellas Park Warriors fast pitch softball. Yeah. Oh heck no! I know how good y'all are, and they're out here just a part of your Saturday, enjoying baseball here in St. Peter. Out here asking for a little support. Any people stopping by, they're doing Venmo. They should come by my place with a little Venmo. But I'm gonna put you on and go ahead and tell them your name, darling.
Hi, I'm Elliot Smith.
How you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Great. You guys ready for Rays baseball? What do you guys all fans down there for Rays baseball?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. How excited are you about the start of this season?
We're really excited, and we will definitely come to some of the games.
How many games you would say you go to a year?
Probably for like 3 or 4.
3 or 4. Okay. All right. That's good. That's good. What do you so?
Yeah, today we're out here collecting money for our tournaments.
Oh, tournament? Okay, tell me about that. What kind of tournament are you guys participating in? Tell me about your team there. The
Warriors. We play for the Pinellas Warriors, and we play 12U fast pitch softball. Okay. And right now for 10U, we are NSA state champions.
Whoa! Congratulations! What was your record this year?
Okay. I have to go, but I'll give you back. We're going to collect money.
Go ahead. Hey, ladies, y'all. Thanks for coming on. How do you like that, Pete? That's what we got going on down here at the world famous Ferg Sports Bar and Grill, which I don't know if y'all knew. It's on Central Avenue, just below 16th Street in the Edge District of St. Petersburg. Oh, I nailed it that time.
Woo. Love it. Good stuff there. We're live here on the Sports Web. The Pinellas Warriors are down there.
The girls, yeah.
I mean, again, I'm going to go back to it. It seems like it's lively down there. You know, we always talk about it. Baseball can't necessarily work in downtown St. Pete. You're by Fergs there. It certainly seems livelier than before. Am I imagining things there?
No, and Pete, you and I, we've covered opening day down here. Coach has had us do opening day, and we covered it. In fact, I'm actually sitting right now and broadcasting. This is the spot you and I found that day, right?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'll talk to you all in a minute, okay, Don? So this is actually the same spot where we were actually set up that day. We know how crowded it gets. Tampa Bay supports this baseball team, which is the most fantastic thing. It's so easy in the middle of June, July, August to have a television and catch those nightly games on Bally Sports, and we all got our hustle to take care of. But, you know, it's still going to be a thing. You know, I just love the fact that Stu Sternberg, the team, Eric Neander, he's more of a player guy, but they step up with these $10 tickets. They build this buzz, and they're having a good time down here. And that's just on the heels of 2 months ago, Mayor Ken Welch here in St. Petersburg announcing that the Heinz Group is the one that the city of St. Petersburg is looking to work with, which happens to be the group that the Rays have been working with. So, I mean, they're starting to get, and it has nothing to do with the record on the field. What we're celebrating here today is the record on the field, and Jeffrey Springs going today. The way this team is playing, it's a fun vibe, and it's as we're getting ready for those hockey playoffs in just over a week and the draft in just over 2.
I know. I love it. Love it. All
Love
right.
it.
Back out to the comments here live on the Sports Web. Tampa Bay, baby. Absolutely. Let's go out to Ralph. Ray has no home. This is Ray's gimmick here, Ralph. This is his gimmick. He's the man on the street right there. Best of the Bay, Tampa Bay, Ray. Troy says, nice intro, Ray. You Bucs report lover. This is what you get for that.
Shut up!
Because, at the end of the day, you know this all too well, Troy. We all started out Bucs Report.
Oh, wait, but Pete, there's not Bucs Report. I mean, Troy might be sniffing some glue today, or maybe he's had one too many to drink already. I mean, it's already afternoon, but there's no actual Bucs Report in that entire runner. It says your Bucs news source, Tampa Bay Ray, but Troy just wants to be trolling out there, and we'll take that anyway.
Well, you just have a shirt on. You have the Bucs Report shirt, so maybe we need to remake that intro.
No, that PR actually stood for Bando. No, I'm kidding. I don't know.
Go Rays. Love it. Right there.
Woo.
Guys, open phone lines. If you want to talk about your Tampa Bay Rays or Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Again, the other number, 727-409-7528. Again, 727-409.
Pete, can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, it's so different again at that time of year. It's just the fact that this team, and I call it the beauty and the beast of baseball. You're going to have your dog days of summer and, the boys of summer, and you're going to have your ebb and your flow, and we're okay with that. Just stay injury-free and continue to have a great season. But just out of the box, this is something the Rays and the Buccaneers did with Tom Brady at quarterback, obviously, starting in 2020. But even with the Lightning and Stamkos coming off their first Stanley Cup a couple of years ago, going for that second consecutive, which buried the lead they got, it's just weird that this is the team 7-0. These Rays, as everyone was talking about the pitch clock and a no shift and the changing rules in baseball and how the bigger bases by 4 inches were going to increase steals and bury the lead it has. Offensive scoring is up, but it's just the Rays are the team leading story out there. And of course they could be 7-1 come 7 o'clock tonight, but it's just really exciting. It's a good time.
It really is. And I tell you right now, I think some of those rules have kind of favored the Tampa Bay Rays, if you will. And I was thinking at the time, especially with the shift, to hurt this team. But, this team, say whatever you want to. And I have on this show about ownership, and I'm not going to get into that. But they adapt and overcome, right? It's an old Marine Corps thing. They adapt and overcome. They make sure their game, if you need a guy to come out, a setup guy at first, throw a starter out there or throw a bullpen guy to make it work. That's what they do. If you need a shift, that's what they do.
Yeah, but, Pete, the thing is, with all due respect, of course, you saw Josh Fleming in there the other night when the Detroit Tigers – no, I'm sorry, where were they? Oh, they were at Washington National Park. So when the Nationals and they had saw Shane McClanahan had a pitch the day before, and they knew they were looking at Jeffrey Springs or Rasmussen and then they were going to have Sugar Shane behind him. So when Josh comes in there, they lit him up a little bit. But really, you go over again this Rays rotation, right? McClanahan, Glasnow, Eflin, Springs, and Rasmussen. The funny thing is, they're always going to employ that opener when they need it to keep a team off balance. But with this starting five, you don't really have to think too much about that unless you want to use it as a strategic tool.
And you really don't even have Tyler Glasnow yet. So
not yet. Yeah.
You could actually get better with this pitching staff. Hopefully he can get healthy. I think the main surprises are not only Rosarena, because we knew how good he can be over that performance on the World Baseball Classic. We knew that Franco could be good. Brandon Lau, he's got to improve a little bit. The main surprise is Rayleigh and, of course, Josh Lowe.
Yes.
Those are the guys right now, and that they can continue to hit. Do you feel like they can continue to hit, especially Rayleigh, who's already got 3 home runs to start the season?
Yeah, and I'll go ahead and I want to throw one more in there about surprise players, although this is for not only for his hitting, but his fielding. Siri there in center field. Kevin Kiermaier goes over to the Toronto Blue Jays. We're going to see him again. They're right behind the Rays in the AL East, but you got Siri out there covering ground, going up against the wall, slamming, making catches. And, I mean, you wonder about that with not having G-Man Choi there at first base. What are the changes that this team's going to make? And one of the good stories from inside the team so far in 2023 is all the guys are gaining confidence because they've got the best rotation in the entire Major League Baseball, and they've got some dogs that are hitting some bats, and now they're playing great defense. So I would pose that if this team still had some growing pains to go through out of spring training, this fast start is helping them get through it. It's not going to help them when they have to deal with that first slump. And it's going to come. And it's going to be those days where we're out here going, can you believe, Pete, you and I were down doing a live that Easter weekend because, they were 7-0, but I don't see it happening anytime soon.
I got to get down there sometime, because I miss Fergs and I miss the wind, I miss the food, and I miss the atmosphere. And what you're watching right now is the evolution of sports talk television. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, best of the Bay. To put this historical accomplishment into context for the Tampa Bay Rays, this is the most since 1884 of the St. Louis Maroons, who reeled off 13 consecutive 4+ run wins to start the season. Those Maroons, guess what they finished up to? What was their record to finish up? Well, I don't know what you're doing there.
Sorry, go ahead. I'm right here with you. I do not have an idea. I can serve to guess.
Well, the Maroons finished up 94-19 on that year. Of course, again, they got out to an 8-2, and I don't know what happened to Tampa Bay Ray there. But again, put that in historical context. They started out with 13 consecutive. So Tampa Bay Ray there.
Yeah, sorry, brothers. 13 consecutive. And what was it? I saw another stat where there was coming off the beginning of a season. It was only a couple of years back. And the games, Peter, are so important. But there's this thing that happened. I think it was the day game. It was the Thursday game there at Nationals Park with the Washington Nationals, where the Rays had faced their first adversity. They had their first they were behind for the first time this season, and they almost turned a triple play. And they came close enough that Andy Fried and Neil Solondz were like, maybe Kevin's going to challenge it. And Kevin Cash just did the Kevin Cash thing, and he went, no, they're good. You don't see them waste challenges. But they almost turned that triple play, and the rest of the team gains the confidence. They start swinging the sticks after that and start hitting some long balls and start using those bases and getting some steals, and they got their confidence back into it, which is, again, something that with the changes made on this team and the youngness, you're like the Rays committed to this pitching staff with bringing in Eflin in the highest free agent contract for any player in Rays history and re-signing Jeffrey Springs. But you got these dogs that are playing defense too, and the camaraderie out there, that's what people are loving when they get inside Tropicana Field. That's the feeling you get. That's the one I got with that Saturday night game versus the Detroit Tigers in that first opening weekend. You could feel, and it's not just a Rose Arena doing this, although Barry Lee, that cat does it all night.
The cat does it all night long.
It's awesome.
I mean, he continues to make great plays, and let's talk about that this week. Somebody said you're a little bit loud, and I agree. Christopher O'Reilly says you're just a little bit loud, and Peter kind of low. So kind of lower your volume just a little bit. But going back to this week, the thing that I love about Arozarena is not only does he make a play defensively to help his pitcher out to save some runs, but the very next inning he comes out, legs out a single, and then, of course, because of that hustle, he also makes a great play at the plate. So he's becoming. We know how talented he can be. We know how multifaceted he can be. We know the potential. So he can continue to do whatever he's doing as long as it's working, and this team continues to win. Now going back again.
Well, Pete, you talked about something a while ago, and you were dead on spot when you talked about what you thought these rules would apply against this team and how it would hurt the Rays, but they're reacting good. And you just said it right there yourself in that last statement, that the helping with the bases, the Rays have not only the second youngest team in the entire Major League Baseball, but it's also one of the fastest teams, and they're utilizing that too. And that's what's, we've had great pitching. We couldn't find the bats. We've had some good bats and decent pitching, and put the Rays, there's still 155 more to go, right? I mean, literally right now, I just did the math in my head, which is totally shocking, but starting with tonight, yeah, right. I only subtracted 7 from 162.
Most of the research is done just now. Just now, you just did all that research.
And I forgot what I was saying, but yeah, I'm just the vibe down here, and that's why I always say, Pete. I always say this. I said it when you and I were sitting there watching the Bucs win 55. I said it when we're watching the Lightning win the Stanley Cup. I say it at all of our live shows. We see Tampa Bay teams having success, and that is the destination is awesome. But remember the journey. Enjoy the journey as much as, if not more than, a destination, and then the destination will take care of itself. The journey is where the memories are made along the way.
And I tell you right now, you got Rays fans walking around. You got little Rays fans being walked around there. That's the future Rays fans.
Yes, sir.
The evolution of sports talk television. Now, again, to put this in context, 13 consecutive by the St. Louis Maroons, who reeled off 13 to start the year. And then also the Rays are the 28th team to begin their season with the 7-0 mark. Of those 27 prior clubs, get this, 15 improved to 8-0, 12 to 9-0, and 6 to 10-0. So there you go. And, of course, they got Jeffrey Springs taking on
Fujiyama today. And, here's the thing. With Fujiyama, his ERA, you look at Jeffrey Springs' ERA, and you just see goose eggs. I don't know where I was going with that. I'm like, hey. And then you look at Fujiyama, and his is 30.86. And he's got the earned runs. He had a bad outing, his one time out. That'll always adjust itself. And I wanted to make that point that guys, if you're at a party with your girl and she's hanging with her ladies and she hasn't explained to you ERA and how baseball works and you're just a little bit lost, it's not saying that Fujiyama's going to give up 30 runs and Jeffrey's going to continue to be 0. But as the second, third, fourth game, those ERAs will start, the earned run average will start to measure out. But if you're looking at it straight up paper on paper, Pete, it's Jeffrey Springs at 0.0 ERA versus Fujiyama at 30.86, playing here at Tropicana Field with this Rays-inspired team on an exciting Saturday here in St. Petersburg. And you're like, I think I would bet the over on that one. I don't even think you can bet over. I don't know what I was saying.
You just never know about baseball because you know, in one game after a game, and that's why it's such a long season, and it goes in the ebbs and flows, and sometimes it can be a roller coaster. You just try to be as consistent as possible.
What's the Greeks' rule about home teams, though, Pete? What's Harry the Greek's rule about home team baseball? Because he was hitting on this one last year a lot.
Well, that's football, my friend. I don't think that necessarily.
No, he was doing it with baseball, taking all the home favorites and betting against them to cover. I think that was last season too. I'm serious, but go ahead. You got comments?
Let me go out to Cole here. No team has been 6-0 and beat their opponents by 4 runs since 1880. We talked about that.
Nice.
Maroons 15 straight. Michael says, hey, Pete in Tampa Bay Ray, just checking in. Thanks a
Michael.
lot for checking in.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for the comments. Let's go out to Cornell. What's up, Peter Blake? What's going on, buddy? How you doing?
Yeah.
Let's go out to Christopher Cole. If I lived within walking distance from the Trop, I would drive my wheelchair to the stadium and go to every game. You know,
Christopher, you're there, baby. You're there in spirit every time.
Absolutely. Sitton says, go Rays. Let's go out to Troy.
But when you do come actually in person, you can buy me a beer.
Well, there you go. Read my comments, bro. YouTube chats are open. If you want me to read your comments, definitely give to the cause. And, of course, Facebook stars are also out there. Troy says, what's up, Peter? How you doing? Okay, Troy again. Ray belongs to the streets. And Troy's laughing at himself because he's the only one right now that's laughing at his joke.
He is. But Troy does have some doozies. It's just they're few and far between.
Let me ask you this, Tampa Bay Ray, because a lot of people would say, look, the Rays, they got an opportunity to play the Detroit Tigers. They're not a very good team.
Yeah.
Washington National is now the Oakland A's. I mean, is that a fair assessment? Because we've seen this year, the Tigers beat the Astros. It can happen any given day. So is that a fair assessment by some national media out there saying, don't lose your mind, the Rays are 7-0, but they've had the advantage of playing some of the worst teams in the league?
I'm glad you set me up, Pete. You just did this right here. You just did a soft pitch, a slow soft pitch, an arcing pitch, and I'm going to knock it out of the ballpark like Leo, the legend Haggerty would, because this would be Leo's answer to that. And Pete, you're going to laugh because it is. Go, put me on screen with you. Put you on screen with me.
All right, there you go.
Because Leo would say, you win the games you're supposed to. And that's how you get championship status. Am I right? Wouldn't the legend say that? And that's exactly what they're doing. But, yeah, it's a good point. These teams, they're not powerhousing right now.
All right, Springs struck out 12 batters over 6 no-hit innings in the season debut. And again, Fujinami making his big league debut, surrendered 8 runs in fewer than 3 innings. So kind of a contradiction, if you will. Opposite ends. Again, that doesn't necessarily mean that Fujinami can't get it done. At the end of the day, do you think that with the Rays and everything else with their scouting, do you think that Fujinami will have some type of advantage, especially in those early innings? And that's the reason why you basically going second or third time through the order. That's why so many pitchers have a difficult time. Do you think that Fujinami would have an advantage over this Rays lineup early on?
Well, let me go, and I was remiss earlier. I should have stated, not only did I see Jeffrey Springs pitch against the Braves there in spring training, but I was at last Saturday night's game where he pitched against the Detroit Tigers. No, wait a minute. Was that? Wait a minute. No, that was Eflin. What am I talking about? But the fact of the matter is, with the way the scouting works and the way the Rays organization does work so hard on getting tendencies, you're going to want to not get into your tendencies. You don't want to raise as a team to your hitting tendencies or to operate. But at the same time, you don't want to see them get away from using analytics the way they do. I made a point I thought last night, probably the only point I made in last night's game is in 2023, when you pull out Jeffrey Springs there when he's in the sixth inning with only one base on balls and he's flaming, and you're like, and someone told me, made a great point. No, it's his first time through on the first of the season. You don't want that cat going too many pitches and wearing that arm out, or worse yet, throwing more than he's ready for at this point. And that's analytics. But then when you looked at last night when the bases are loaded and both Randy Arozarena and then Wander Franco behind him came up, the bases got loaded because all three guys, they didn't swing at anything because the pitcher last night, I'm sorry I don't remember his name, but he couldn't put it in the strike zone. Franco got in there. He struck out. The guy still never made it in the strike zone. Franco got up. He struck out. And that just tells me that Kevin Cash has found right now that happy spot, using analytics, but yet also letting the players play ball. And that's where you get these best performances, I think, from your baseball team, is finding that happy medium.
Absolutely happy medium here. Let's go back out to the comments. As always, great Saturday show, guys. Thank you very much, Kevin. Appreciate you as always. Yeah. We may do this again. We may do this throughout the season because, look, we support the Bucs on this show. We do pre-half and post-game editions. Why not support the Rays? And also, why not support the Tampa Bay Lightning? Got to get my guys on Shooter and Stash to come on here.
Yes.
Christopher Cole says, got to play the schedule. Troy Polamalu says, where's Roger Shue? Roger Shue says, I'm always here.
No, he's always – that's scary. I'm always here.
Well, he's the moderator of the channel. That's what people don't know. And then, of course, Troy Polamalu, hey, what's up, Uso, right there. Tell you what, let's go back out to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. There was a rumor thrown out, a report this week from Mike Florio saying that there are some veterans that are going to be more than happy that Tom Brady is gone off this team because of all the distractions. What do you make of that report from Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk?
It goes right to my point that I've made. I think it helps make the argument that last year, as much as Todd Bowles was the head coach of this team, he wasn't in full 100% control of this team. And what I mean by that is I don't know if there's any standing orders for Todd to default over to Byron Leftwich and see what the greatest of all time Tom Brady wanted to do. But the guys in the room know that. The other 51 or 52 in the room, they see things. And I think that's why even with Canales building this, or Dave Canales building this new offense in 2022 with the great quarterback competition between Baker Mayfield and Kyler Trask, which I truly think, I could be wrong, but I truly think is going to be it's going to be maybe one of the best quarterback competitions in Buccaneers team history. You draft Testaverde, you draft Dilfer, you had, Milanovic, you brought guys in, you had, Jeff, over the years, you had all these, but really right now, this year, 2023, with a new offense and bury the lead, letting Todd take care of that defensive side, that's why I still say the Buccaneers are quite possibly and should be a 10-win team in 2023.
Well, I tell you right now, they're not looking to rebuild, okay?
No, they don't have to.
What they did in free agency. I think we kind of talked about it, but what did you think of that move to get Ryan Neal from the Seattle Seahawks? Very shrewd move, and they don't sign him to a big-time contract. He's 27 years old. Pro Football Focus is number one safety. And for me, I don't think safety is a need at this point. What did you think of that overall move by Jason Light and company?
First of all, I like Neal's length. I like his ability to break up, to get in and break up. I thought he kind of played in that Legion of Boom style of defense and where he was at. And Seattle Seahawks fans were quite upset that he actually gets away, even though they buried a lead, got a guy in there that had a little bit better numbers. I don't know his name. I like the fact that this Buccaneers team, Pete, take out of the fact that I'm out here enjoying this beautiful day down here, April. You got the best team in Major League Baseball. You got the water, the boats, the beaches. Take out the fact that there's no state income tax. You should still have players. I hate to use the term ring chasing, but you should still have players that have played in other teams and played in many spots, and they see a chance to come be a part of this Todd Bowles defense in an NFC South that's still in flux, and the Buccaneers should be at that, or I think in full control of this division.
The first guy place out there with the dog in the back, you got to get him on. You got a guy back there that had his dog. That's what I love about Fergs, because you're able to bring your.
It's so awesome. Yes.
Alexander down there. I tell you what, let's go back out to the comments. But to that point with Mike Florio's report, I definitely think it's valid. I think there was definitely valid concern last year with all the distractions. I think this team may be better off. It's crazy to say, even with that quarterback competition, you won't have all those distractions. You know who basically at the end of the day is running this team. There's so much outside noise from last year with Bruce Arians and the sudden retirement, and then Tom Brady and the divorce and going here and going there. And we've talked about it ad nauseum on this show.
But Pete, can I ask you a question?
Sure, go for it.
The way Tom looked out on the beach 2 weeks back, playing with Julian, and was that Blaine Gabbert with him? I thought it was him, but he didn't quite look like him. But I hadn't seen him since the season ended and the week before that. But the way Tom looked out on the beach, it's funny. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think at the end of the day, if Tom somehow all of a sudden was like, yeah, maybe I would, and everyone else, even the 49ers, which with Purdy and what's going on there, and Trey Lance, that would be. I think that Jason Light would still answer the phone and say, well, Tom, now you're going to have to really make it friendly with us, because we're not going to get ourselves in this jam again. But sure, come on back with Canales as your offensive coordinator and have a good time in 2023. Do you think Jason Light would at least entertain that if Tom called him?
I don't think anybody's going to call anybody. I think Tom Brady is done with the NFL. I think he
looks so good, though.
Well, I mean, he looks so good, but, it's not the stress. It's not, having that anticipation. You have to get ready for a season. You have to get into shape. Right now, he's just relaxing.
Well, it's also having an offensive line that you're not going to have to worry about all. If you got Ryan Jensen back and Hainsey's moving out and Tristan Wirfs, and you address that. If the Buccaneers traded up, or one of those big offensive linemen came to them, I also like the interior lineman, Olandry or whatever, from the Florida Gators. He's a dog inside. I don't think he's on a board at 19 if the Bucs were looking to go there. That would be a guy. What's that?
Osiris Torrance.
That would be a guy.
And you're a Florida Gator fan. You should have got this right. We're on with Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy, Best of the Bay. I'm your host, Peter Blake, here live on a Saturday afternoon. Let's go back out to the comments. But you're exactly right. Before we get out there, that could definitely be a point of contention when it comes to offensive line. We still don't know what the Bucs are going to do. Are they going to move Tristan Wirfs to that left side? Are they going to keep him at the right side? Do you go with the tackle to play the left side as a rookie? I think there could be some tackles on the board at the end of the day. You won't have to trade up. I don't see them trading up for me at all. What's going on there, Ray? Well, and I guess he's going off there for a moment. Open phone lines if you want to talk about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers or your Tampa Bay Rays, as we're getting you ready here for Rays versus the A's. Can the Rays stay undefeated? 727-255-0391. It's 727-255.
Sorry, brother. Every time I move this laptop, the camera, even though the USB doesn't come unseated, the camera still goes,
Yeah, we got to get you a camera out there. We got to get the other camera out there for you to help you out with you being the man on.
That'd be nice.
Nice. I like you.
I'm not going.
There you go.
You had that queued up.
I have it. I have everything. Come on now. Let's see here. Happy Easter, everyone. Thank you very much, Roger. Appreciate
Flawless
it.
victory.
Let's go out to Troy. Peter's mom said at the house around 6 for Easter dinner. No, Troy, you are not invited. This guy, stop. Let's go out to Troy again. Roger does not celebrate Easter because he is a Muslim. Peace upon you, Roger. Once again, fake news. And Troy says Ray will get his Easter dinner from Family Dollar. You want to comment to Troy there about getting Easter dinner from Family Dollar?
I'm just dropping off his mom's Easter basket. She's working tomorrow night.
Oh, wow. Very good. All right, let's go out to KR. I like the ideas about the Bucs and less pressure they have now that Brady is gone. And I think it's absolutely legitimate at the end of the day. And I think it's certainly possible. And, the National Football League is not for long. So who's to say people anticipating this team being, in a rebuild, being worse than they were last year. What's the possibility of me being an eternal optimist here that they could actually be a better team without Tom Brady? I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility at all. I don't.
I agree, but I want to flip back to another question that you made a while back, Pete, because you and I are never going to we've had this argument. This between you and I, it's a tale as old as time. As I used that Beauty and the Beast reference for the ebb and flow of a baseball season. But you talked about those California Angels, and they've got a Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout. The two biggest names in baseball on the same team can't sniff the postseason, can't do the AL West at all. And then you got a team like the Rays. They don't have the Shohei Ohtani or the Mike Trout. They kind of do this thing where they're shifting and changing, and they buy low and sell high every year in contention for the American League East. So I ask you, at the end of the day, there's a middle ground there, and I think it's a gray area.
Okay, well, going back to the gray area, and I think you're kind of applying this to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Should they have gone all in with Tom Brady and what they had? Absolutely, you got to go all in. That is the most frustrating thing with covering the Tampa Bay Rays is they have so much talent, and year after year they are in contention, but they don't have any World Series championships. So, buddy, if you have an opportunity to spend money and go all in, which the Glazers have shown that they can do, which Jeff Vinik and the Tampa Bay Lightning have shown that they're willing to do, I would like the Rays to show.
Oh yeah, I want the assassin, right? So if the FBI is climbing in my window, I want the guy that can put one between the eyes. I want the assassin, and I'm not saying you don't want to see the Rays. And there was talk last season, and even as bad as it was getting a wild card, that they may have been shopping for that left-handed bat late in the season. But the fact of the matter is, I work it back to the fact that I want to get that assassin. I want to get to that situation where we're we need that one piece, and look at that, it's right there. But at the end of the day, I like the fact that, an Evan Longoria might move on, or a Crawford, or a BJ Upton, or David Price. And I love what they meant for this team, but we continue to, year in and year out, put together one of the best teams in baseball, and it's at the market price for what Stu Sternberg could do here. Because as much as the buzz is great today, and as much as a stadium with St. Pete blowing up the way it is, still is a financially feasible way to make money, at the end of the day, when you've got 600 people on a Thursday night in July for the Toronto Blue Jays in town, you got to spend within. I don't think the guy needs to go bankrupt to try to be a Yankee. George Steinbrenner for years went out and bought the biggest arms, the biggest bats every year in and year out. It took a 2.5-year suspension when he was working with that, that gambling guy trying to get dirt on Dave Winfield away from the team for them to build that team to get your Soriano, to get your Derek Jeter, to get your Mariano Rivera. So at the end of the day, I like a team that's building every year and also in contention.
But what are you building to?
You're building to get hot at the right time, and you put plays. Nobody gets injured. You've got this starting five come next playoffs, and then you're looking for the bat, and maybe you get a bat along the way if you don't already have enough in the house.
If playoffs is all you're shooting for at the end of the day, then good luck with trying to convince a Yankee or Red Sox fan to turn over and be a Rays fan.
Well, they got to this. They got to the big dance. I mean, they won the American League pennant twice. Then they lose to the Phillies, lose to the Dodgers.
You've never won a World Series. The Florida Marlins have won 2. The Arizona Diamondbacks have won 1. And in the 25 years, and I love the Rays, they have never won one. And you just talked about all the talent that's been able to walk out the door. So that's the difficult thing. And I guess it comes back to this, right? With, relating it to football. It's tough. It's a tough assessment because football has a salary cap. Baseball doesn't. But here's what I do know. I do know that there's revenue sharing between the big market teams that are giving money to Stu Sternberg and this Rays organization. So I'm not going to sit here and act like they don't have the money. My thing is that if you want this fan base to invest in what you're doing, you also have to invest it in yourself. And that's the problem with I think that's the problem with a lot of this fan base. We've been down this.
There's not a problem with this fan base. I'm talking about the narrative was too simple. Oh, it's too hard to get to St. Pete. Barry Lead, it's really not. The interstate comes here. Now, if you come here at 5 o'clock Monday through Friday in rush hour, or even go to Malfunction Junction in Tampa, my point about the thing is that as Shohei Ohtani will get that $600 million contract after this season, that the Angels are playing out that string. They had Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani So they had that circus going on. But at the end of the day, we were a hell of a lot closer to winning that World Series, losing to the Dodgers, losing to the Phillies, after winning the American League pennant, doing it this way than teams that retain those big superstars and never get as close as we did. We've been pretty good over the last. We won the American League East twice in the last 3 years, Pete.
I'm not saying you haven't, but if you have an opportunity to go all in at the trade deadline, for me, it would be nice for this ownership group,
right,
fan base, that they're going to do it.
Pete, no, but my point is, your point was the reason why these fans that use this weak excuse to not come over to the field, and the $10 tickets make it great. Let's not make no mistake about it. These $10 tickets are the most genius thing that these Rays have done, maybe in their 25 years. Beside, I don't know, whatever. But the end of the day is that it's not just because the Rays don't retain free agents at the beginning of the season, or we trade away agents to get more depth and to continue to build that farm system. But I also agree with you. Yeah, I think that if the Rays are at 95 wins, but the Yankees are 3 games up come September, I think that Stu Sternberg, especially now that the stadium issue is starting to kind of resolve, and the success that we're already seeing with the fans and the tickets at the gate already here in this young early season, I have no doubt that Stu will bring in exactly what's needed. The best thing is right now, the way this team is playing in 2023, I don't think we need anything. Let's just keep it like that.
Well, you will see, but history shows that that's not a good point, because they've never done that. They've never gone all in at the trade deadline. Whether you have a great team or not, you should go all in. Let me go out to KR here. They're going to have nothing to lose mentally, to be honest, with the Bucs. For the Rays, all that youth is going to benefit them. They just need to stay healthy, and happy Easter weekend, guys. Happy Easter to you. Thank you. Going back to the fans there is some problem. There is some disconnects. And that's the main problem, because you still have Yankee fans, you still have Red Sox fans, and in order to convert those fans over, you have to do what they do, and that is have instead of going all in. And
well, Pete, they're actually talked to a convert last night. He's a White Sox fan. He's from South Chicago, worked in pharmaceuticals. Great guy. A friend of him now. He's a good friend of mine.
Harry?
Opa. No, but my point is that he moved down here, so he was going to be a Rays fan coming into this season. He said the fact that this team has the success history that they have made it easier, but he's all buying in. And this streak right here, this Saturday night, this heartbeat on the ground, the vibes, as everyone's going across the street there to watch this game over at Tropicana Field, that's going to start getting some of those fans converted. And I think at the end of the day, that's a good thing.
And I want to be fair, because the fans, they take all kinds of hell for not going out and supporting this team. But you've heard crickets this week about the Rays and their support, because I didn't hear anybody say anything about how bad the fans didn't show up on opening weekend there with the Tigers. I didn't hear anything about last night. I get you got $10 tickets. The fans deserve their flowers also. They don't get enough of those flowers.
Well, Pete, this team's always packed them in on the opening series weekend. In fact, this season was a little bit of a rarity because that second game wasn't, but maybe that one day in between in a holiday season. This team, the fans always show up for the postseason. They open the third deck. We sell out. Let's go. Let's win the American League pennant. Let's play in the World Series. The fans do show up for these events, and they're showing up now because this is a great story in 2023.
And also, they're showing up because ownership decided to make the tickets $10, because at the end of the day, I think this is a point of contention also. Rent is high, gas is high. Not everybody has an opportunity to go out and watch a Rays game. And $10 tickets are great, but you still have to pay for parking. You still have to pay for concessions. And I get it. It's all about the experience in the event, but some people can just stay home. So again, those fans need to be given their flowers too.
They are, though, Pete. They are, and that's why they come here, open arms. They're across the street. They're singing "Kumbaya." They're all lining up in the outfield. They got the best team in baseball. And at the end of the day, it's not just because of this or because it's the hardest place to get to. It takes a little bit of success, but like you said earlier, the conversion of the fans, these experiences with these kids out here for their first game with their parents, if that's what these $10 seats can do to give that first experience, that first ball handed to them by a big league player, their first home run where the lights are going crazy, then you just converted a fan for life, and those $10 tickets were worth every penny.
I mean, that's what it's all about, and what you're watching right now is the evolution of Sports Talk Television live here on I Love St. Pete, the hub and Amped Up Sports. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Best of the Bay, Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy, live from Fergs. Let's go out to Roger Shue. Rays are fraud. You know what you get for that?
This guy sucks.
They're in the wrong division. Well, your team has been in the wrong division for how many years now? I mean, come on. I know about your team. I grew up watching the Cubs. Go Cubs, go! I don't know how good they are this year. No fans. Again, you have to cater to those fans. You have to give them an opportunity, a reason why to come out and support this team, and it has to be more than just winning. It has to be an experience overall.
And no, Pete, also, I was remiss there because I said that they don't spend the money on a free agency. Again, Zach Eflin gets that $43 million 4-year contract, the highest free agent paid contract. And then also Jeffrey Springs just got that big contract. So they did spend with those arms. So, I mean, that's some good stuff showing.
But pitching was not a big-time problem with this team last year. What was it? In the postseason. And I'll tell you what, let's getting
that left-handed bat.
Well, it's also scoring runs
with that left-handed bat.
What were your thoughts on the Tampa Bay Rays in that banner? Because a lot of people didn't like it. They felt like it was a participation trophy. It kind of reminds you of the postseason last year, which was dreadful. You scored 1 run. I mean, do some fans have a point where the Rays shouldn't have put up that banner? Or, much to do about nothing. You really don't care if they put up a banner or not.
No, I think, and I had a chance to talk with Pat and Aaron, Aaron Jacobson and Pat Donovan from the Pat and Aaron show on this on Monday, and they were running with this a little. And I just in my time slot, I got to call in and talk with them. And the fact of the matter is like you look at it and you go and you look at it and you go, okay. It's like, man, I'd love to see that third NFC South championship for 2023 from 21, 2, and 3 in a row after this season. And the Rays won the American League East, and then wild card last year exit completely disgracefully, one could say. So you see that banner, but at the end of the day, you're also, as a fan, you're like going, it's a thing. Let's not talk about it, but maybe we'll put one next to it that says 2023 AL East champions, and then the wild card will just be a secession thing, not so much trying to stand on itself.
But that's people's point. I mean, like Tampa Bay, they're not coming out and putting banners up in their stadium saying we're a wild card. That's not what you're shooting for. You're shooting to be a Super Bowl team. Division is different. Wild card, I don't know. I get it. You want to?
Yeah, that's what I mean. You're like, I get it, but it's like at the end of the day, you're like, okay, it's a thing. Maybe there's a crack in the hole. Maybe there's a crack in the roof, and they had to cover it, so they put the banner right there.
I really don't get it, but I understand it. Tim says, "Happy Easter to everyone. Happy Easter to you." Let's go out to Roger Shue. Only Rays fans I know are you two. Well, you don't know that many people because nobody wants to be around you.
I don't know. Hey, if Roger would get off that big wallet of his and buy a guy a drink once in a while, I'd hang out with that cat every day.
Well, he's a cheapskate. That's the reason.
I was saying that, but, I was in a roundabout way.
I said it. Trop is a dump. This is what you get for that.
This guy sucks.
And Roger says, Cubs get $40,000 on a Tuesday afternoon at 1:20. Rays will never do that. And that's not a fair comparison because the Cubs have over 100 years of tradition.
Yeah.
They're diehard.
I made that jump, though, Pete, when I talked about that outfield, how you can stand anywhere you want all along the outfield now. And I, of course, made that association to the Ivy there at Wrigley Field. And I'm not saying we've got the Ivy from Wrigley Field and the historicness of that, but that's what that outfield ring now is. It's a thing. Everybody's grabbing their drinks. They're going up the escalator, and they're all hanging out. It's the same as the flat area by the pirate ship in the north end zone and the flat area now that the crow's nest is gone in the south end zone. So I make that reference to every Buccaneers fan that maybe you're like the baseball thing. Just imagine that's what it is now. So I'm not comparing the Tropicana Field to Wrigley Field, but it's got a thing now. It's kind of a good narrative.
Well, it's a good thing. And, Wrigley Field and the Cubs and their tradition, even if it's a losing tradition, once again, they have an advantage.
Cubs win.
Cubs win.
Cubs win.
Yeah, that's good. That's better than mine. All right, let's go out to Roger here. Let's drink Ray. I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and wrap it up, my friend, because we've been going at this for about over an hour. Love it. Let's do it again. Go ahead and promote yourself here.
Actually, Pete, why don't you promote yourself and then let me close it out since it is a cup of Ray. I'd appreciate it.
Well, it is kind of the sports web, so I'm calling.
Well, I'll do you right. I won't run you off, but do your thing and then put me in a single shot so I can get a little romantic on the streets of San Francisco here.
Oh, well, that's San Francisco, St. Pete. Go ahead.
No, go to one shot on you. I'm closing it.
All right, so I'm going to get out of here on that. Guys, thanks a lot for tuning in to the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. A couple Ray here on the Sports Web Network. I'm your host, Peter Blake. 3 things. Bring your passion. Bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. Once again, I'm your host, Peter Blake, your Rolex reporter. What time is it? It's my time. And Bucs fans and Ray fans and fans of the Sports Web, it's your time. Take it away, Tampa Bay.
Brother, thanks again for the help today, Pete.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I'll tell you what. And I said this last night. I've been saying, as long as the Rays continue doing this winning thing, I'm going to try to make it out. It's not always going to be here. I'm going to be phoning it in from my bathroom. But, it's not even about winning and losing this game today. As I talked with Peter last night, it wasn't just 1, 2, 3, 5 people. It was everybody walking by because it's just the ramp from under the street, under First Avenue, comes right up here. And I was set up here. And every one of them was like, blown away that they had seen such great baseball. And I know that the Rays winning, being on the winning end, it has a bit to do with that great baseball, but they're seeing near triple plays. You're seeing teams rally. You're seeing players pick each other up. You're seeing great defense. You're seeing young kids step up. You're seeing veterans start to assume their spot. It's fun. It's still, again, that grind, that 162 game dog days of summer. It's going to be, one day you're a king, one day you're in a penthouse, next day you're in a cellar. Not really, because he's still in the back room. Wait, was that your sound effect for cellar?
It was. I want to read this comment really quick here. Let's all go to a Rays game. Convert me. I mean, that's a Cubs fan right there for many years. Let's do it.
Roger, and I'll hang out with you. Roger, he's one of the funniest things we had when we did that live show for the Bucs-Panthers game from up there at Whiskey Wing. That was
the funniest looking.
No, does this shirt make me look fat when I stand back? No, I guess it doesn't. I just realized it kind of.
I don't care about how fat you look. Go ahead and just close off the show.
Okay, well, I wanted to say, though, Pete, I'll be honest. The conversation was good, and I really appreciate you. But I've been looking at it's 3:50 right now. The game starts a little after 4. I've been looking at my watch on my computer here since 3:37, and that's for the start of a second week game for the Rays. Because it's funny, as we always continue to think or expect this team to have the pitching, to make the decisions, to be in contention, as Kevin Cash has now literally came up alongside and passed Joe Madden all time. They both had an American League pennant. They both won the division twice. They both had a wild card. Fact of the matter is, Kevin Cash since 2014 has been on this trajectory. So as much as we've expected it every year for this Rays team to be there, to be in the hunt, to be there at the end and possibly win the division, the fact y'all have a great day. Good to see you, ladies. The fact that they are this early in the season and we're able to enjoy it, and people are down here on a Saturday at the world famous Ferg Sport. And thanks to the staff out here at the world famous Ferg Sports Bar and Grill. It's on Central Avenue, just below 16th Street in the Edge District of St. Petersburg. They're always so supportive of me being down here. I couldn't do it without them. Peter, thanks for coming in. Everyone needs to know someone cares this Easter weekend. Make sure you're the one that lets them know. And win or lose, let's enjoy this game. Again, Jeffrey Springs on the bump for the good guys. That lineup looks like a murderer's row. Go Rays. Thanks for joining me. Let me just check one thing out before I get out of here. I just got to check this right here.
What are you checking out there, Ray?
Have a great day.
All right, Steve.